Hey, welcome to the Fine Print, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Caleb Teskey, and boy, do we got a saucy one tonight. I wasn't planning on doing this, but I think this story is important, so I put together a little impromptu joint. I do want to thank some of my previous guests. I don't have their images loaded, but Katie Tilton, former lead grower from the Clean Cannabis Company. Great interview with Katie. It's been one of my most viewed interviews, and it's only been up for a week. I want to thank Katie for her time. Artist Spotlight with Richard Williams, who's a pro comedian for the last fucking 3 decades, I think. Great talk with Richard. I had Suahiko Ono on from the New England Farm Grown Outdoor Cannabis Attorney. I think Hepworth Pura is his company. And then Jenny RG. Great show with Jenny. If you haven't seen that interview, you really got to check it out, as well as Leo Stone from Aficionado out in California. And then coming up, I've got some killer interviews tomorrow. I've got Doc Ray out in California, who's Army Green Beret, involved in the cannabis industry now. I think that's going to be another heater. And then I've got a special 420 interview with Luke Steinke from Bird's Eye Botanical here in Vermont, an old school hustler. I wanted to do something special for 420, so I got a legacy guy to join us. And then on the 23rd, you got to watch out for this. I got Jamie Toth, Data Witch, who's been doing some great FOIA requests and uncovering a lot of information about things that are going on in the lab testing world. That's all the homework I think I got. I want to pull up my notes here because it's a lot. So my guest today, one of them you've seen on the show before. He is the co-founder and current president of the Cannabis Farmers Alliance from Grateful Valley Farms, Joseph Calderone. Joseph, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Cool. Next, we've got Tess Interlicchia. I hope I'm saying that right. I didn't ask her. Is that right, Joseph?
Yes.
Interlicchia. She is a co-founder, board member, and treasurer of the Cannabis Farmers Alliance and founder of Grateful Valley Farms. Tess, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Caleb.
Pleasure having you on. And the next guy is someone I haven't talked to today, but I was linked up by Joseph, I believe. And he's the co-founder and board member of the Cannabis Farmers Alliance. He's also the CEO of Starlit 420. Please welcome Justin Merkel to the show.
Thank you, Caleb.
Yeah, pleasure having you guys on. Before we do anything serious, Joseph, we already got your 5-minute life story on the last one. And I'm going to start with Tess. Someone got a dog.
I have 2, yes.
Yeah. Tess, would you please give us a 5-minute life story?
Sure, I will try and keep it brief. So I am Tess Interlicchia. My first passion has been nursing and healthcare. I've been a registered nurse for 21 years now and a family nurse practitioner for the past 8. And I've almost completed my psychiatric nurse practitioner postmasters. Very strongly believe in plant medicine and cannabis, obviously. And that's what really led me to purchase my organic farm in the southern tier of New York in 2019. And within a month, I had my hemp license to grow for CBD. And I did that for a couple of years and was the first and only cultivator in Steuben County in New York. In my free time, I'm a nurse practitioner and I've helped thousands and thousands of patients since 2019 get access to cannabis, really trying to, destroy that stigma and all the bullshit around it. And it's been amazing to see it, help people and, help people with their cancer treatments and get off heroin and opiates and booze. It's a beautiful thing. So freedom fighter and I'm here to do everything I can to help the farmers. Farming is my true love also. So
will you tell us a little blurb about how you founded Grateful Valley Farm?
Yeah, no, I just, I found the farm and was able to purchase it. Thank God. It was my dream. And just with the name, it's all about, having gratitude, and I'm also a deadhead. So there's that. So I'm really, really glad to be able to do this and to provide some nice, sun-grown organic cannabis for folks. So that's about it.
All right. Let's throw Justin up here. Justin, will you give us a 5-minute life story, please?
Yeah. Okay. So, I'm 38 years old.
I'm an engineer by trade, but I've been in the legacy market for the last 22 years. I started out early on, guerrilla growing is what I call it. And so basically, I would find my way into different parts of either state land or friends and family's land and dive off into the woods and do my grows throughout the summer. I've been an indoor grower on and off for quite a while. We had some troubles back in the day. I've been arrested a couple times for cannabis. And so I had a child and had to take a break for a while. And then the hemp days came across where we were able to get into it legally. And so I jumped back on the bandwagon of marijuana, cannabis, and eventually got my adult use license. And then basically I'm where I'm at today, which is a struggling cannabis farmer. To no fault of our own, but I do plan on being one of the top brands in New York State in the next couple of years.
Would you mind telling us how your interactions with law enforcement have affected your life, if at all?
Yes, it's affected me in quite a bit of different ways. I was arrested and had to do community service a few times at a young age. It impacted some of the careers that I was focused on. I wasn't able to get into certain schools that I liked at first. I had to work my way through the ranks of community college to make it into RIT, where I finished my engineering degree. And then basically beyond that, I feel like it's positioned my life in different ways as well. I've had some pretty good engineering gigs that I've turned down because of cannabis, because at the time the stigma was so high. At one point, I had a job working on making robotics for machinery for Rolls-Royce Nuclear Services. And so basically, my position was to travel across the country, into different countries, and inspect nuclear reactors with robotics that my team was creating.
Damn.
But because of cannabis, I ended up diverting from that because, again, with the clearances that were needed, cannabis just wasn't one of the allowable substances to have. And at a young age, I hurt myself in the building trade industry and tweaked my back pretty good. So I've always been an advocate for the plant because I'm against prescription pills. And so as an advocate for the plant, I wasn't able to pivot away from it in order to keep the career that was probably at this point the best opportunity I had in my life, unless this cannabis ends up becoming what it could be. Other than that, yeah, that's kind of how cannabis has affected me in a negative way.
And will you also give us a little blurb about Starlit 420, if you wouldn't mind?
Yeah, so Starlit 420 started out as a legacy company, and it was Starlit because it was all outdoors underneath the sky, and that's when I would do all my growing is at nighttime. Um, Beyond that, I had to keep that name just because at the time, with OCM and everything else, to be able to switch around anything in your paperwork is almost impossible and just delays you. And so the eventual name of the company is going to settle at 420 Lit, but right now we're still Starlit 420.
Cool. And all right, let's see. We got a comment here. Hello from Connecticut to my New York neighbors. Okay, cool. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Let's see. I want to just, and I got some herb here. I said I wasn't going to get super high, but I got some herb here from Nick Smith at Emerald Visions, and Nick's a great grower here. I do want to. So the topic of discussion here has popped off in the last couple days, and I want to share this story. I got it loaded up here. This is the story. Let me go up to the title from the New York Post. Don't flood market with legal pot shops. New York cannabis industry warns. That's from April 14th. And then we have some comments from Damian Cornwell. And there's the Governor Hochul. And what I'd like to do, guys, is just go down the list. It seems like you guys are all familiar with this story, I assume.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so what I'd like to do is get all of your reactions to this story. And I'm going to put Joseph in the box first. Joseph, tell us what you think, because it seems like they're trying to now slow down the licensing. And from everything I've heard from all of you guys, it seems like they're actually behind schedule on this. So I was super interested to hear about it.
Well, I guess I'll start with the original promises that the Office of Cannabis Management, their initial promises to our cultivators as to how many retailers they would have by they were supposed to have 200 retail locations open from the December of 2022 to December of 2023. So within 1 year. We're in the middle of 2024 and we only have 105, many of which are not operational. So we don't even know which ones are open. So we're already behind in term of, we're supposed to have 200. So we're 100 behind, almost 3 years into licensing. And that's obviously had already a major ripple effect through the supply side. That's harmed farmers and cultivators and growers. It's also kind of put them at the mercy of processors waiting to get paid for their oils. It's made the price high on the consumer side of things because of a lack of competition on the retail side. And of course, they OCM opened up licensing to the general public, and we at least were expecting that there would be a lot more retail outlets, including micro businesses, to really open up this market and get it to start maturing. And that's been slow going. The rollout has still been slow going by the OCM. They only have 14 people reviewing 7,000 applications, but their ratio of external affairs and social equity facing people to reviewers is 4-1. So they're looks like they're. I always joked around and said that they were a PR agency posing as a regulatory agency, because they seem to care more about their messaging than they actually do care about rolling out licenses in an efficient manner. And so when I read this report in the New York Post and subsequently read the letter that was issued by Canny, I was really, it was breathtaking to me, because I don't know any market where, if there's major demand, that you decide to put the brakes on. I mean, how would that work in the oil market? Like if you have a lot of drivers and cars who want to fill up the tanks of their cars, and all of a sudden you decided, well, we know that there's a lot of demand out there for our oil, but we're going to shut down the gas stations, or we're going to or not shut them down, but we're not going to open any new gas stations, right? So I think that's sort of what it's like here. We don't, and if there's a reason for it, let's have some data. Let's have some data as to why you would do something like that. I mean, there needs to be, or involve all the different stakeholders in the industry. So it really doesn't make any sense to me. This sort of like putting on the brakes of the market and then turning it on, and it's becoming confusing for every operator in this industry. And it's just another example of, yes, it's a new industry, but I think we're tired of being the guinea pigs of this industry. We want the regulatory body to do its job, and we would hope that the trade associations would also support the market opening up. Anyway, I could go on about that. I'm sure.
Yeah, we're going to get to that later. Let me bump you out. I'm going to put Justin in here. Justin, how do you feel about these suggestions to slow down the licensing?
I look at it that we're way behind. We've known that. In fact, during the summertime before the ROs came into the market, we had the cannabis grower showcases running, which were pop-up venues that we were able to organize with the card retailers. And so it'd be like 3 growers to 1 card with 1 processor. And those went pretty smoothly as far as the fact that there was a short timeline to be able to get them online and to follow the regulations that were set forth, and it happened in a very timely manner. There was no mishaps, and there was revenue generated, and farmers were able to get rid of their products. Processors were able to get our names out there. And the flaw that I see in it is it's not about stopping or slowing down the retail. It's about making sure that the people that were set up to get into the position that they were already in get established, and their names are heard. They're on the list where they're actually functioning within a timely manner. Like their business plans are basically following or should be following.
Have you had any interactions with the OCM, and how has that gone, if so?
Generally, our interactions are very good. Generally, the OCM, whenever we discuss anything with them, they're super positive. They're always on our side. They seem like they're willing to work alongside us, not against us in any way. But time and time again, we continually see that there's flaws. We're not being put in the position that we should have been. We as AUCCs, we've already been extended twice our licensing. So by de facto, we instantly should have been, the first ones in line. We were the ones with business experience in the background. You weren't allowed to be an AUCC unless you were a cannabis cultivator in the hemp fields. You weren't allowed to be an AUCC unless you had 2 years of positive business experience in your business besides hemp or the hemp itself. And then the financial backing that goes with it, the fact that we're able to secure down all the products, for way longer than we ever should have to. So we have those security measures that we've already put in place to make sure that, everything's safe. So by my mathematics, it seems like if we were able to get the AUCCs flushed out to where they should be, with the micro licenses alone, that should be enough retail. And the fact that the micro licenses are allowed to set up venues, pop up venues, it would be like a CGS instantly all over again. But yeah, on top of that, we would also have the ability to build out the retail locations. The licensing would be in place where the AUCCs could then take on investments from investors and actually make a difference in the industry, which overall, in my opinion, would stop the black market from progressing, if not start pushing it backwards.
Okay, cool. I'm going to pull up Tess now. Tess, please give us your thoughts on this idea of slowing down the licensing.
Yeah, I was really quite appalled. I didn't believe it, to be honest. His statement here, I'm just going to read just a quick sentence. So we strongly believe that handing out licenses without a thorough understanding of the market's capacity will lead to oversaturation, business failures, and unintended public health risks. All of that does not make any sense.
Does he have a thorough
Cornwell in the article?
Does Damien have a thorough understanding of the industry?
I believe it's either he or his a family member. They own Just Breathe, so I believe were they the first dispensary to be licensed? I think first or second. The second, I think, second or third. So he's definitely represents that side of the industry. But it does not make any sense. There's a need for it. If we're worried about oversaturation, there's no way we can shut down all these illegal stores and not have any, retail available. Business failures will occur if we do not open up all these stores. And that's really what it comes down to, I think.
And so I want to pull up, I'm going to go backwards here and start with you, Tess, because I've got a couple of letters here. You guys are all members of the Cannabis Farmers Alliance. I'm going to do these. I'll tell you what, I'll do the governor first. And it's hard to read, guys. You're not going to be able to read this, but if anyone is looking for this, I think I could probably share it with you later. you guys at the Cannabis Farmers Alliance have written an open letter to Governor Hochul. Could you please tell us a little bit about what's in there and why you guys wrote that letter?
Yeah, so actually with that one, I would probably, that one, I have not read that one. I would like to defer that one to Joseph. I believe he wrote
Joseph?
that.
Okay, well, hang on. Joseph, would
The
you
other
tell
one
us,
I'm all over, but.
Joseph, will you tell us a little bit about the open letter that you've written to Governor Hochul?
The open letter is sort of a last gasp for relief. As you know, we represent the supply side of the industry, so we represent the farmers and the growers, and the entire industry is in support of farmers' relief. So the Senate put $128 million in their budget, the New York State Senate, and the New York State Assembly put in $80 million in their budget for relief for farmers based on how much we've lost, because they know that the farmers have lost tens of millions of dollars to the illicit market and to the slow rollout, and then just to structural issues of the program. Because of course we were the first. We answered the call to supply the market, and the only person left to agree to that is the executive, because it is an executive budget. It means that the governor has to decide if it's a priority for her or not. Even though it's a priority for the Senate, it's a priority for the Assembly, it's a priority for the Teamsters, it's a priority for the local 338, it's a priority for the ROs and the MSOs, it's a priority for the New York Retailers Association, it's a priority for the Processors Association. It's a priority for the general public. It's a priority for everyone except for the governor. So that letter is a sort of a plea to just say, look, give us some relief. It's planting season. Direct cash relief will, inject life into the supply side while you license all of the AUCCs expeditiously. There will be no problem with supply. There'll be plenty as these new dispensaries open for business, and we have to do it. We need it quickly because it's planting season right now. So those numbers were great. There were large numbers, but obviously they're negotiable, and obviously they could come down. Any kind of relief would be helpful for any of our farmers. We did a survey, and 108 of our respondents, 97% of them are underwater. So Tess is correct, about people are going to lose their businesses. We're witnessing the collapse in real time. And it's just incredible to me that the governor is with this entire, the cat's way out of the bag. I mean, when you have these many people in support of a relief fund, it's because the reason why those numbers are so high by the Senate and the Assembly is because they grasp the numbers. They understand that the gravity of the situation, that it's an existential situation for growers and farmers. So that's pretty much right. Justin, is that the letter in a nutshell?
And,
do you have anything to add?
And Justin definitely sounded like he had something to say here, so let's put Justin in the box.
I mean, I just feel that the letter in general was very well written and got to the point that we do need relief in some sort of form or fashion. I mean, Joe put it pretty eloquently and straightforward that without that relief, a lot of farms are going to go out. And I guess what I was going to bring up is now I see the big sell-off happening. And I don't know if that's intentional or not as well, but now you see there's, bidders and there's sellers. And, the industry is turning into a meat market. It's no longer the pioneers, because everyone that started this out who should be here and, is going to make the market the right way and build it the right way, they're not going to be around anymore. They're selling out for cheap too.
And to your point, Justin, this was something I was just talking about the other day. It does seem like at all of the tables where decisions are being made, there's not a lot of legacy growers or processors or anything like that at the decision-making tables? Have you seen anything similar?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, there's none of that. I mean, if anything, you're pushed away from those tables. We've tried in many sort of ways to have a seat, and the thing is that our voice always seems to be so small, regardless how big we actually are. You know, we continually grow. Our organization day by day is adding on members. And the thing is that these members should have a voice, regardless if we're poor little farmers or we're rich cannabis millionaires. We all have the same voice. Yeah.
Yep. Cool. So I'm gonna pull myself back up here. The next thing I'd like to discuss, guys, is this letter that you wrote to the Cannabis Association of New York. I don't know who wants to take that first. And again, I know that's hard to read. You guys probably can't see that if you're watching, but I think we could probably share that with you. I've shared it on my LinkedIn. Who would like to raise your hand if you'd like to touch that first?
Yeah, I don't mind. I can
Yep, cool. I'm gonna put Tess in the box. Yep.
pipe in just for a moment. Yeah, so it was very nicely written by Joseph, and Nick as well, our other member. It's really just addressing how how we definitely disagree as stakeholders in this industry with the statements by Mr. Cornwell there. So it's really just stating how what he stated definitely goes against the MRTA, right? And we're trying to really kind of bring us to light so that we have more stores and we have a place to sell them.
Will you tell everyone what the MRTA is real quick?
Yes. The MARTA. Marijuana
Regulation and Taxation Act.
Thank you. I'm also in my 3rd trimester of pregnancy, so forgive me. My brain is not where it usually is, so forgive me. Thank you. Yeah, so it's just trying to explain how we also need immediate licensure for the micro business licenses. If we're ready to go, and by like what Justin said, by allowing the micros to have immediate licensure, we'll be able to do the cannabis grower showcases and start selling immediately, providing safe and clean cannabis to the public that's legal, and this is really what we need. So
yeah, and Justin reminded me, Justin, do you want to talk about how I think you reminded me that a year ago we asked for the micro businesses to be fast tracked, right?
Yeah, yeah, we've asked at what was it, the CCB meeting directly with OCM as one of the solutions to the slow retail. This is when the lawsuits were actually going on. We brought up emergency micro because what that would do is basically this is before CGSs too. So instead of giving us our licenses then, whatever the holdup may have been, they extended our licenses and created the CGS.
What's a
And now that
CGS? Could you tell us that?
yeah, Cannabis Grower Showcase. So it's like a pop up event. So, sanctioned under their rules and regulations and following the safety protocols and all that. You team up. They were having us team up 3 growers to 1 processor and 1 card, which is a retailer. And so by teaming all of us up together, we're able to throw events and sell the cannabis. That was basically most of it's still being boxed up in a lot of our warehouses, but we were able to get rid of some of that cannabis from 2 years ago and make some sort of funds back on what we put into it. Not anything extraordinary, but at least we were able to set up these events and get rid of some of our cannabis. And so if we're able to, under the micro regulations, do the same thing, then that would expedite the industry's retail sector, and then everyone would be happy. We'd be able to throw events as well, because right now, currently, under any rules and regulations, unless you're one of the current retailers, there's going to be no special events this year. So you won't have any legal festivals, you won't have any legal music shows with New York cannabis beside it. It's going to be all black market. From my standpoint, on the other side of the table, I know that this is the time of year where most people are getting ready to go to those events that are not sanctioned, so they can sell other cannabis. It's a huge black market outlet, and us as the starving farmers of the legal market. You know, we've been minding our business and making sure that we're following every law by the book so we don't lose our licenses. We're actually the losers in this whole thing. Because these venues, you know, if we were able to set up our retail, even like the CGSs, but, you know, as micro, we're allowed to set up actual events. If we're allowed to do that again, I mean, it would be unlimited amounts of retail that could potentially open for the summer.
And I'm going to slap Joseph back up here for maybe some final thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I want to mention that this New Frontier group report. New Frontier Group is a think tank, a data think tank for the cannabis industry in the United States, and they reported that the New York in 2023 was $7.4 billion. The New York has taken in $200 million in gross receipts, so that's a shortfall of 97%. The black market in New York is 37 times larger than the legal market. So, one way or another, we have to encourage these people that are going to the black market to move into the legal market. How do you do that? I guess you can do it on quality, right? You can do it on price. Maybe the novelty of going into an actual legal store, innovation, but you can't have any of those things unless you have a retail outlet and unless you have competition in the retail area competing for the flower from the supply side. You need demand pull from legal retailers in order to pull the product from the supply side. It's pretty much economics 101. And you can only do that by freeing up the market and not freezing the market by these fits and starts from a regulatory agency or from a trade organization that thinks that we should slow things down in terms of issuing more licenses. And but because the effect of that is you're going to have a cartel for what effectively is a cartel. I'm not accusing anyone of being a cartel, but you are going to have a dozen players that dominate the market. They dominate the supply and they dominate the shelves of the existing retail. That shuts out and marginalizes all of the other mid-sized and small operators in the industry, being processors and cultivators.
Yeah, and to your point, it sounded like not only are they behind in issuing retail licenses, but maybe also cultivation licenses. Is that accurate?
Yes, and also there in New York State, there's different tiers of which you could apply for growing canopy. So the highest tier I think was 100,000, right? Justin was 100,000, and this tier 5,
Yeah,
and
tier
tier 4.
5. Yeah.
Tier 4 was I think 4,000. I mean 40,000 or 50,000, a little over an acre.
Yeah.
So tier 5 isn't even open. So, we could have a supply shock if we don't get some guidance on our growing. We were told by some folks at the OCM that we should just go ahead and grow another acre of outdoor or mixed light for this season. But that's not in writing. So what are we going to do? Are we going to put plants in the ground and then halfway through the season get a notice from the OCM saying you're not in compliance, so pull out all your plants and destroy them? If they're worried about a supply issue, then they're creating it.
And Justin, I want to pop you back up here because it sounded like you were also looking into the retail end of this as well. I'd love to hear your perspective on that.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel we certainly need more retail, but I also feel somewhat on a fence line because I also feel we put so much into this as AUCCs that we also deserve a shot to have, if we're going micro, we should deserve the shot to have that retail location ourselves as well. I think that that would expedite a lot, seeing as how the investments are in place for that. We're just waiting for literally the starting gun to go off so we can actually produce the retail locations and start selling. It would be like an overnight flash mob of retail. If they gave all the AUCCs their final licenses, final licensure, and said, okay, here you go, you know, you're set in stone, you're going to be a micro. Overnight, we'd start setting up venues in order to sell cannabis from all different farmers. It wouldn't be just our own. And then beyond that, we would make sure that we would have our brick and mortars in place. So when OCM finally does get around to, you know, inspecting them and going through all the rigors that it takes to get one online, we would be completely ready. And who better to follow the rules and regulations than the people have been following for the last 4 years?
Yeah, if I could jump in real quick.
Hey, you read my mind, Tess.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to regurgitate a couple of some numbers that Joseph brought to our attention, and then also the Frontier data about the illicit market, being 7.4 billion, right? And the black market being 37 times larger than what we have right now. And thinking about the dispensaries, if we're doing 37 times, we should be seeing, closer to like 4,000 dispensaries to keep up with the demand. And we have 105. We should have had 200 by December of last year. So the slow rollout, this bottlenecking, it's a nightmare. Those are the numbers.
Well, so. And I'd like to pull up my next subject here because recently I noticed, former regulator from Massachusetts, Shalene Title, was given a $50,000 contract by the New York Office of Cannabis Management. And then just recently came out with this, I think this is from Twitter, about how this is a good warning. And I agree with the New York cannabis industry. Don't flood the market. Do you have any thoughts on that? Because, or your regulatory agency giving these types of contracts to people that might be aiding in the slow rollout of this?
Yeah, it's very scary. I'm not going to lie. I found it very interesting, so I did read that on LinkedIn, and I'm just wondering, where else has she? What other states has she been involved in? How did that work out? It's definitely conflict of interest. I don't think it's a good thing at all. It's nerve-wracking. So,
Joseph, any thoughts?
I look at that and I'm just like, this is a perfect example of the professional class clashing with the tacit knowledge of the legacy market. It seems to me that lawyers are great and consultants are great to a certain extent. They're definitely needed, but when you have these people constructing the agency that probably had no plant touching or even the 10,000 hours of requisite, knowledge in operations in order to understand the industry, or that are so out of touch with the culture that has created this industry, and they're getting those kinds of contracts in order to come up with opinions and suggestions based on what? Their previous success in other states, or what? I mean, I have no idea. It's just incredible to me to see that. I think that the CFA, they could give us, $50,000 and we would give them a lot more better guidance than this person. I don't, and I'm not sure how they got the contract or what, but it's a complete disregard of who got us here. People were, thrown in the clink. They saw their loved ones go to prison and were incarcerated. They were sprayed on by toxic chemicals. They have PTSD from having to look over their damn shoulders for like years and years and years. And yet these are that person there is someone that is informing how we're supposed to build a legal industry. I don't get it.
Justin, any thoughts on that?
I mean, I guess I'm not super familiar with the whole the whole where the funding ends up and what it was exactly for. But I feel that until we at least have the same amount of retail locations that are legal as we do that are not legal, on the corners of every street in New York City and every town near you nowadays, then we're not at the retail, critical mass or whatever you want to consider it.
Word up. Now, I've got a couple more. Well, I got one more really before I get to my final notes, and this one's going to be for Tess. And we talked about this on the phone, and you said this stuff has taken a real toll on people's mental health. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, definitely. Mental, physical, all the different healths. It's been really, really terrifying. I mean, farmers in general, I mean, they're one of the highest rates of people that commit suicide. Farming alone is just, it's so incredibly hard. And we're very proud people, and it's hard to reach out for help. And that's, I think, a big piece of why, farmers struggle so much with mental health and, the risk of suicide. There's been, there's been some of us that have been suicidal, and we've had to, call for, wellness checks on friends and, just keeping on top of everything, trying to be a support group for each other. And that's really, it feels like to me, the CFA has been a huge thing. I'm so grateful that we have it. We've been together for a year, and just talking each other, off the ledge, I don't know how many times over the past year, just being, the support for each other. And, the physical health too. A lot of people are definitely feeling it, not doing well physically. So it stinks.
Justin, do you have any comments on this?
I mean, Tess did a pretty great job, but it's the same thing. I mean, the physical health of many people is going down the tubes. Financial health leads to that physical degradation. You don't have the finances to pay your bills. All of a sudden, you're more stressed. Now your money ends up at the bar instead of in your at the billing office or wherever it ends up. To try and get you through that moment. And so, it's been a struggle for a lot of different people. Some people reach out in different ways. Some people come all the way to the edge, which I've seen multiple members, and they've reached out to me on occasions. And I've not walked people off the edge, but you try to keep the positivity alive because it's so hard when every time you're so close to a win and the rug gets swept out from underneath you. There's only so many times you can stand up before you're like anticipating the rug to sweep out again.
I'm going to send it over to Joseph for final thoughts on that question. Anything, Joseph?
I talk to farmers every single day, from different parts of New York, from all different walks of life, and it's emotional resilience. Is necessary in this industry, and a lot of our people reach a breaking point when it comes to their emotional resilience. Because I believe this is a bit different, because this industry is a bit different, because it's not just about wanting to make money, which people want to, and of course they were attracted to dollar signs, but there's a connection between that and also having such a strong passion for the plant and for a passion for legalization, because so many people were tired of being in the shadows, and when they finally got the opportunity to come out of the shadows and show what they've been doing, and share that knowledge with others, to have that met with such the blunt force of onerous decisions and regulations, I think that it expands sort of the emotional reactions to what people are facing, I think, and that leads them a little bit quicker to despair, and to giving up. And so I applaud everyone who keeps trying, and that is still fighting on, even in the midst of potential collapse.
Word up. And I'm going to tell you guys, let's see if we could do this. Is that going to work? I'm out of shit right now. I want to thank you all for joining me. Joseph Calderone, co-founder and current president of Cannabis Farmers Alliance. Tess Interlicchia, co-founder, board member, and treasurer of Cannabis Farmers Alliance. CEO and co-founder or founder of Grateful Valley Farms. And Justin Merkel, co-founder and board member of CFA and CEO of Starlit 420. Before we get out of here, guys, I would like to get final thoughts from all of you. And I'm going to go backwards. Joseph, you were just speaking. So any final notes or ways that maybe you would like to see the state move forward in a helpful manner?
Well, we have a couple more days. Maybe a Hail Mary on the relief fund, whatever it is, 15 million, 30 million, for our farmers. That would be great. Governor, please listen. The other thing is, this letter from Canny about licensing. How about just include all the stakeholders so that we can come up with a decision, let's get all the stakeholders at the same table to find out if this is the route that you feel like we need to take, and let's see some data and share some data with us.
Tess Interlicchia, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I would love to. I wish things were exposed more. I wish all the illegal things that were happening behind the scenes will come to light sometime soon. There's a lot of bad actors out there in positions of power. It sucks big time, and we're all struggling. Many of us are at risk of, and some of us may have already lost our homes, our farms. It's an absolute shit show, and it's not to our fault, which stinks. 97% of a industry is failing. It's not their fault. Usually, it's it's the way it was set up. And was this done on purpose? That's my question. So thanks for having us, Caleb.
My pleasure. Justin Merkel, final thoughts.
So final thoughts. I just hope that, we can all profit in this. I hope everyone can move forward and alleviate all the issues that we've had. The Cannabis Farmers Relief Fund would definitely facilitate a good portion of that. Letting in more retail, letting in more quality growers, letting in better regulations, more openness on the end of, allowing us to stretch our wings and then see how it goes and regulate from there, not anticipating how things may turn out and over regulating and, bottlenecking the industry like we've kind of dealt with. If things were done in the right way, I'm pretty sure we wouldn't be in the position we're at. Lawsuits wouldn't have happened that have happened. AUCC extensions wouldn't keep continuing. Basically we're on we've had 2 official extensions, and then, the fact is most of our AUCCs are still without a final license. So I would consider this the 3rd extension. And, let's get those retails up and running. Let's do it the right way. Let's push the black market out. Let's, consume those customer spots and make it an equitable New York so we can utilize the funds for better things. I think Joe's got something.
Hold up. Let me put Joe back in the box. Go ahead, Joseph.
I just wanted to say one thing too, and that's that. What happens when, an institution or a group of people have exhausted every good faith effort with any counterparty in business or government?
Well, usually it's a lawsuit that happens.
So, I mean, if the state wants to get it right, then they'll do everything they can to avoid major litigation and discovery. And that's it, When people have reached the end of their rope, that's the farmers have been the only group that have actually cooperated and exhausted every back channel, front channel, and media channel from day one in good faith. And they're the only group that is not litigated yet.
Yeah.
Tess, did you have something down there?
Just yet. That's all. I hope Hochul is listening. That's all.
Yeah, she watches my show all the time.
She should.
Guys, guys, I want to thank you all for your time. I'm out of shit. Justin Merkel, Tessa Interlicia, Joseph Calderone, Cannabis Farmers Alliance. If you need more information, reach out to these guys. Check out the letters they've written, and I'm going to sign it off, guys. Remember, the devil's in the details, and the details are in the fine print.